Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Speak Better English Podcast.
I'm your host, and as always, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, who really helps us connect all the dots and find the underlying patterns in our source material.
Hello.
Yeah.
It is so good to be back.
Now, usually on this show, we are, wading through these really thick stacks of research papers, or we're analyzing complex geopolitical trends, maybe breaking down the latest tech breakthroughs. We're usually looking outward at the world. But today we're doing something a little different. We're actually looking inward.
That's so true. We're zooming way in, right? We're focusing on a very specific, a very human moment.
Yeah.
And we're doing this particular deep dive for a really important part of our listening family.
We are.
The learner.
Yes. To all of you listening right now who are navigating the world in a second or maybe even a third language, this one is for you. We know that for you, learning isn't just some academic exercise. It's not just about passing a test or, getting a certificate at the end of it. It's about survival. It's about connection. It's about trying to express your personality, your intelligence, and your heart in a language that just isn't your own.
And that is exhausting work. We really get that. We know you're looking for the easy way to learn. And that's not because you're lazy. Not at all. It's because you're efficient.
Yes, exactly.
You want to know what matters now. You want the keys to the kingdom without having to, memorize the entire dictionary first.
You want those aha moments, those little shortcuts that make everything click into place. And today, we are looking at perhaps one of the most high-stakes, high-pressure moments in any language learner's journey.
Ooh, okay.
The moment when the wheels come off, the moment when things just go wrong.
The crash, the mistake, the slip-up. Oh, we've all been there. And for a non-native speaker, I can only imagine that moment can feel like the absolute end of the world.
It must.
You can feel like a failure, not just of your language skills, but of your character.
And that is precisely why today's source material is so incredibly vital. We are doing a deep dive into a concept that I think is going to fundamentally change the way you, our listeners, look at your own mistakes.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
We're looking at a source titled The Art of the Sincere Apology. And the specific topic we are breaking down today is apologizing and handling mistakes.
That is such a rich topic. And just, looking at the source material we have in front of us, the titles, the overlays, the descriptions, there's a whole philosophy of communication kind of hidden in plain sight there.
It really is.
It's not just about a list of words to say, it's about strategy.
It is a full strategy, and we're going to unpack every single layer of it. We're going to look at why this source calls it an art and not, say, a science or a rule book. We're going to figure out what saying sorry the right way actually looks and sounds like for someone who isn't a native speaker.
And that last part is so important.
It is. And we are going to dig into the crucial, often misstep that the source really highlights, which is handling mistakes. Not just saying sorry, but handling it.
I'm ready. This feels like it's about moving way beyond the textbook and getting into the messy, real, and I think beautiful world of human connection.
Let's dive in. I want to start right at the top. The headline of our source material, The Art of the Sincere Apology. Now, I love to get into this specific words.
I do.
And one word in that title just jumps out at me immediately, and it's not apology, it's art.
It is a very specific choice, isn't it? It's deliberate.
It's so deliberate. Why art? Why didn't the source call it, the grammar of the apology or the rules of being sorry? Why elevate this to an art form?
That really is the million-dollar question to start with, isn't it? And I think the answer tells the learner everything they need to know about the approach we're exploring today.
Okay.
If I give you a rule book or a grammar guide, what I'm telling you is that language is basically math. I'm telling you that input A will always lead to output B. I'm telling you that there is a rigid structure you absolutely have to follow.
Subject, verb, object. The past tense requires an ed at the end. That's the science of English. That's what you learn in the classroom.
Exactly. And, that's great for writing a business report or for passing an exam. But an apology isn't data.
No.
An apology is emotion. It's a transfer of feeling from one human being to another. So when the source uses the word art, it's signaling something else entirely. It's signaling that there's no single correct answer that works 100% of the time.
It's signaling context.
It's signaling that context matters, the nuance matters, that the relationship between the two people matters. It's not a formula.
That's a little scary though, isn't it? I mean, I'm putting myself in the shoes of a learner right now, because if it's an art, that implies you have to have some kind of intuition. it implies you have to feel the language. And if you're still struggling just to find the right vocabulary word, feeling the nuance of a situation seems like a very, very distant dream.
It can be intimidating, yes. I totally see that. But what if we flip it around?
Okay.
I actually think it's incredibly liberating.
Liberating. How so?
Because if it's an art, it means you don't have to be grammatically perfect to be effective.
Oh, that's interesting.
In a science, if you miss a decimal point, the entire bridge collapses. The experiment fails. In an art form, though, the goal is expression, not absolute precision.
Right. A painter can have a shaky line, but the painting can still be a masterpiece.
Exactly. You can create a beautiful, emotionally resonant picture, even if your lines aren't perfectly straight. And in the same way, you can deliver a beautiful, effective apology, even if your grammar is a little broken. As long as you master the art, as long as you get the feeling across.
I really love that perspective. It completely shifts the pressure. The goal isn't perfect English.
No.
The goal is effective connection.
Precisely. And what's the core medium of this art? What's the paint we're using? Well, the title gives us the answer right there. The art of the sincere apology.
Sincerity. That's the real metric. Not grammar, not vocabulary. Sincerity.
That is the metric. In a grammar test, the metric is accuracy. Did you spell the word correctly? Did you use the right verb tense? But in the art of the apology, the metric is sincerity.
Did they believe you?
Did the other person believe you? Did they feel your regret? Did your words actually build a bridge back to them?
This is a huge shift in mindset, a fundamental one. I think so many of our listeners, the learners, get stuck in what we could call the accuracy trap.
The accuracy trap, I like that.
They're so worried about using the wrong preposition, or they're agonizing over mixing up make and do, that they freeze up, they become robotic.
And that is the absolute death of sincerity. Think about it. If you're standing there and you're mentally calculating verb tenses in your head, what happens? Your eyes glaze over. Your voice becomes flat because your brain is just processing data. You sound like a machine, and if you sound like a machine, you do not sound sincere.
So it's a paradox. Trying too hard to be grammatically correct can actually make you fail at the art of the apology.
Exactly. The source is nudging us, and you, the listener, to a completely different goal. It's saying, stop worrying so much about the textbook rules and start worrying about the human connection.
That is the art.
That's the art. It implies nuance. It implies flexibility. It implies that the way you say something matters just as much, maybe even more, than what you say.
And this leads us perfectly into the specific visual context mentioned in the source material. We have this very high concept title, the art of the sincere apology, which feels very soft and nuanced and complex. But then the overlay text, the thing the learner actually sees pop up on their screen, is just two simple words. Say sorry.
It's a command. It's so direct. An imperative.
It is very direct, almost blunt, really. Why that contrast? Why go from the flowing, complex idea of the art of the sincere apology to just bang, say sorry?
I think the overlay represents the urgency of the situation, the immediacy. When a mistake happens, time just distorts, doesn't it?
It does.
You know that feeling? You drop a glass, it shatters on the floor, and suddenly everyone in the room stops talking and just looks at you.
The spotlight effect. It is terrifying. Your blood runs cold.
It is. And in that moment, the instinct for a learner is often to freeze, to just stay silent while their brain frantically tries to process the language.
They're searching their mental database for the perfect, grammatically correct sentence.
Exactly. But while they are searching, the silence is growing. It's stretching. And silence, in that specific moment, can be so easily misinterpreted.
Silence can look like arrogance, or it can look like you just don't care about what you did.
Exactly. So that overlay, say sorry, is designed to cut right through that paralysis. It's a direct order to your brain. Act now.
It's the trigger.
It's the trigger. It doesn't say, compose a 5-paragraph essay about your profound regret.
No.
It just says, say sorry.
So it's the first step, the bare minimum to get the process started. You can't practice the art if you never get on stage.
You can't. The art is how you follow up, but say sorry is the command to start. You have to break the silence.
That's a really powerful point. The source is giving us a clear sequence here. Step 1, obey the command, break the silence with say sorry. Step 2, then, and only then, do you use the method, which is the art.
Yes, it's creating a bridge between that panicked instinct to freeze and the necessary action to start fixing things.
Okay, so we've established that this is an art and that sincerity is the ultimate goal. But how do we actually do it? I mean, if I'm a learner listening to this, I'm thinking, okay, great, I want to be sincere, but I still need words. What do I say?
And that is where the subtitle of the source comes in to save the day. The source makes a promise. It says, natural phrases for apologies.
Natural phrases. Okay, so this is the tool set. This is the paint for our canvas.
This is the paint for our art. This is the practical application of the philosophy.
And the title, it explicitly says, say sorry the right way.
Right.
And it directly pairs the right way with these natural phrases. Now, as a host, you know I love a good binary. If there's a right way, there must be.
Oh, there must be a wrong way. Absolutely.
I want to explore that. For our listener, the person who's trying to learn English in that easy way we talked about, what constitutes the wrong way to apologize?
Well, based on the text we have and that very specific focus on natural phrases, the wrong way has to be the unnatural way.
The unnatural way.
And usually for a learner, the most common unnatural way is the textbook way.
Ah, the textbook way. Can you give us an example? What does that disconnect look like in the real world?
Sure. Let's imagine a scene. You're in a busy, crowded coffee shop. You're in a rush to get your latte. You turn around and you accidentally bump into someone and spill a little bit of their sugar on the counter. It's a very small mistake.
Okay. Small mistake, but high stress because there are people watching. Public space.
Right. Now, a textbook apology might be something you learned in a formal English writing class. You might turn to the person and say, I sincerely apologize for the inconvenience I have caused you regarding the spillage of the sugar.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a lawyer wrote it. Or a robot. There's a distinct lack of humanity in that sentence.
Exactly. It is grammatically perfect. You cannot find a single flaw in the grammar. You use the right prepositions, the right nouns. It's a 10 out of 10 on a test.
Yeah.
But is it natural?
Not at all.
No. And so is it sincere?
It really doesn't feel sincere. It feels distant. It feels cold and calculated.
It feels cold because it's unnatural.
Yeah.
It creates a barrier. It immediately highlights that you are an outsider using a pre-written script.
Right.
It fails the art test because the reaction doesn't fit the situation. You're using a verbal sledgehammer to crack a tiny nut.
That is such a real danger for learners. They're often taught that formal equals polite, but sometimes formal just equals weird.
Exactly. And that weirdness creates distance. The entire goal of an apology is to repair a relationship, to close a gap that you've just created. If you use stiff, archaic textbook language, you're actually making that gap even wider.
So the right way, as the source is defining it, is to use the phrases that native speakers would actually use in that exact moment.
Yes. The phrases that just slide into the conversation without any friction. Natural phrases are almost invisible. When you use them, the other person doesn't even hear the words themselves. They just hear the sentiment.
So instead of the long sentence about the sugar,
You just say, oh, oops, sorry about that, or, oh, my bad.
my bad. It's 2 syllables. Grammatically, if you stop to analyze it, it makes absolutely no sense. My bad. What's that even mean? But naturally, it works perfectly.
It works because it's cultural currency. It's a social shortcut. It signals, I am one of you. I understand the unwritten social codes of this situation.
And that fits the easy way philosophy for our listeners just perfectly, because these natural phrases are usually shorter, they're simpler, and they're much easier to remember than these complex formal structures.
Absolutely. It dramatically reduces the cognitive load. We talked about that freeze response earlier. If you're trying to build a complex sentence from scratch in a moment of panic, your brain is just working overtime. But if you have a natural phrase like, my bad, or so sorry, just stored as a single chunk ready to go, you can bypass all that grammar processing.
And just focus on the human.
You can just focus on the human connection, on making eye contact, on smiling, on conveying that sincerity.
It's efficient, it's strategic.
It is strategic. The right way to apologize is the path of least resistance for your brain, which in turn allows for the maximum positive impact on the relationship.
I love that. The path of least resistance. That is exactly what our listeners are looking for. They want to fit in, not stand out as a student fumbling with a textbook.
And using natural phrases is the best camouflage. It helps you blend in seamlessly.
Okay, so we've covered the apology part of this. We know we need to be sincere. We know it's an art form, and we know we need to use these short, natural phrases. But the source material throws us a bit of a curveball here. It isn't just about apologizing.
No, it is not. And this is the really advanced, brilliant part of it.
The topic description says, apologizing and handling mistakes. And then the main title repeats this structure. Natural phrases for apologies and fixing mistakes.
Handling, fixing, Very active, practical words.
They are. It seems like the source is making a very clear, very deliberate distinction between the two. Why separate them? I mean, aren't they the same thing? If I apologize, haven't I handled it?
Not at all. And I'm so glad the source makes this distinction so clearly. This is where most learners, and honestly a lot of native speakers too, fall short. Apologizing is just the first half of the circle. It's the opening act.
Okay, let's break that down. This is section 3 of our deep dive. Beyond words. What is the fundamental difference between apologizing and handling?
Think of it chronologically. An apology looks backward. It acknowledges the past. I am sorry that I did this. I am sorry that this happened. It's a verbal act of admission about something that's already over.
Okay, so apology equals past tense. It's retrospective.
Conceptually, yes. But handling mistakes or fixing mistakes, that looks forward. That's perspective. That's all about the future. It answers the question, okay, what are we going to do now?
So if I go back to that coffee shop and I spill the coffee on someone's coat this time,
A bigger mistake.
a much bigger mistake. The apology is the first part, acknowledging the spill. Oh no, I'm so sorry about your coat. That's the past.
Correct. But the fixing part is offering to pay for the dry cleaning. Or grabbing a napkin and helping them dab it. It's the, here, let me get that for you, or please let me pay for that. That's the future.
And for a language learner, those are two very different sets of vocabulary, two different toolkits.
Completely different. And the source promises natural phrases for both. This is where so many learners get stuck. They master the I'm sorry part. They can say I'm sorry 100 different beautiful ways. But then what?
They stop.
They stop. They just stand there looking awkward because they don't have the natural phrases ready to pivot to the solution.
And that silence, that gap after the apology has been delivered, that is where all the awkwardness lives. That's the cringe zone.
It is. Because if you just say, sorry for spilling coffee on my coat, and then you just stare at me, I might start to think you don't actually care about the mess you made.
Right. It puts the burden on me, the victim, to say, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it.
Which is completely unfair. You made the mess, but now I have to comfort you. That's a failed social interaction.
A total failure.
But if you have the art down, if you have those natural phrases to immediately follow up with, to say, let me handle this, or I'll make it right, suddenly you aren't just a person who made a mistake.
You're a person who is solving a problem.
Yes. It changes the power dynamic completely. You go from being the problem to being the solution.
And that must restore trust almost instantly.
It does. And that brings us right back to the main title, The Art of the Sincere Apology. A truly sincere apology, in most Western cultures at least, absolutely requires an attempt at repair.
It's not just words.
You can't just say the words. You have to show the intent to fix it. The source is telling us that language is the tool we use to communicate that intent clearly and quickly.
So we're really looking at a two-step process that the source is advocating for. A 1-2 punch. Step 1, use a natural phrase to apologize, connect emotionally. Step 2, immediately use a natural phrase to handle the mistake, connect practically.
That is the formula. That is the system. And the art is in weaving them together so seamlessly that it doesn't even sound like a checklist. It just sounds like a decent, capable person responding to a situation.
I want to focus on that word handling, again, from the topic description. Handling mistakes. It's such an interesting verb choice. It's not just fixing, which sort of implies a mechanical repair, like with a broken watch.
Right.
Handling implies management. It implies taking ownership of the entire situation.
That is a very perceptive catch.
Yeah.
Handling is all about responsibility. When you say to someone, don't worry, I will handle this,
Yeah.
you are physically taking the burden off of their shoulders and putting it onto your own.
And for a non-native speaker, being able to communicate, I will take this burden, must be incredibly powerful. It shows so much confidence.
And confidence is the one thing almost every learner feels like they're missing.
They do.
Usually the learner feels like the one who needs help. They feel vulnerable. But if they can deploy a natural phrase to say, I'll handle this mistake, they suddenly step into a position of strength and power. They become the capable adult in the room.
That circles all the way back to our target audience, the learner. We know you want to speak English in an easy way, and paradoxically, learning how to handle mistakes makes your life easier because it shuts down conflict before it can even start.
Exactly. If you can quickly apologize and then immediately pivot to handling the issue, the conflict just dissolves. The other person relaxes, their shoulders drop. But if you fumble the apology or you fail to offer a fix, the conflict just lingers in the air.
It festers.
It does. So investing your time in this specific source material learning, these specific two-part phrases, is a very high return investment for any learner.
It really is the difference between just surviving a conversation and actually thriving in one.
Precisely. It's proactive communication.
I want to speculate a little bit more on the kinds of natural phrases for fixing that the source is implying here. We talked about, let me get that. What else makes a phrase feel natural in this fixing context?
I think it's directness. Just like with the apology itself, you don't want a long, rambling speech. You want action verbs. Short, clear, action-oriented phrases.
Like, I'll fix it.
I'll fix it. I'll check. Let me see what I can do. Very simple.
I'll take care of it.
I'll take care of it. That is perhaps the ultimate handling phrase. It is so soothing. It's comprehensive. It covers everything. And it's incredibly natural.
It's amazing how much power is packed into those 5 small words. I will take care of it. It's like a magic spell.
It is a magic spell. It takes a negative situation, the mistake,
yeah,
and it transforms it into a neutral or even a positive one, because now you've shown yourself to be responsible and competent.
So if we look at the whole picture that's emerging, the source isn't just teaching vocabulary, it's teaching a complete script for what you could call social repair.
Social repair. I love that term. That's exactly what it is. Language is the tool we use to repair the little tears in the social fabric that happen every day when we inevitably make mistakes.
Okay, let's pull back and synthesize all of this. This is section 4. We've dissected the words art, sincere, natural, right way, and handling a fixing. If we connect all these dots for our listener, what is the big picture that the source is painting?
The big picture is that the source is offering a complete system, a roadmap. It's telling you, the learner, to say sorry the right way, which is the title. You must use natural phrases, which is the method, that effectively conveys sincerity, which is the art, and must always extend to fixing mistakes, which is the action.
It's a complete loop, from thought to word to deed.
It is, and it's a loop that solves the huge problem of overwhelm.
Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. Our listener profile mentions they don't want to feel overwhelmed. How does this specific focus on this system help with that feeling?
It limits the variables. That's the absolute key to preventing overwhelm in any learning situation. If I just tell you, okay, go apologize, and you have the entire English dictionary to choose from, that's incredibly overwhelming. You have decision paralysis.
Too many choices.
Way too many choices. But if I give you the right way, which is a curated set of a few natural phrases for specific situations, I've reduced your choices to a manageable few.
Limits create freedom. It's a classic creative principle.
They do. By restricting your focus to just the natural phrases for apologies and fixing, the source allows you to stop worrying about the millions of words you don't need and just master the 5 or 6 that you absolutely do need in that moment.
That is the very definition of an easy way to learn. It's not about learning less, it's about learning smarter. It's strategic.
It's high leverage. You learn a very small amount of material, but you get to use it in these very frequent, very high impact social situations.
And I want to revisit an idea we touched on earlier, this idea of the non-native speaker advantage. We hinted at this. How does mastering the source material actually give the learner an edge, maybe even over a native speaker?
Because the learner is approaching this entire process consciously, deliberately. A native speaker often apologizes on autopilot. They might just mumble sorry and walk away, completely forgetting the handling part because they're just lazy with their own language.
We take it for granted. We really do.
We do. But the learner who engages with this source material is actively analyzing the mechanics. They are learning the structure of a good apology. Acknowledge plus fix. They're building a mental model that is actually superior to the lazy, ingrained habit loops of many native speakers.
That is a fascinating point. So the learner can actually become better at apologizing, more effective at social repair than the average native speaker because they're consciously studying the art of it.
Exactly. As a result, they'll be perceived as more polite, more thoughtful, and more professional.
And that must be a massive confidence booster. You're not just playing catch-up anymore. You are actively mastering a sophisticated social skill that others haven't.
You're mastering the art.
I also want to quickly touch on the medium that's implied here. The title says podcast. This is designed to be audio. Why is hearing this rather than just reading it so important for this specific topic?
Because sincerity is so often carried in the tone of voice. We talked about that robotic delivery earlier. You can't really learn the art of sincerity just by reading a transcript.
You're right.
You need to hear the rhythm. You need to hear the melody of the phrase. You need to hear the intonation.
A natural phrase spoken with an unnatural rhythm becomes completely unnatural.
Exactly. If I say, my bad, with the stress on the second word, it sounds confusing. If I say, my bad, it sounds weirdly accusatory. You need the audio to capture that subtle nuance.
So for you listening, the advice that's implied here is, don't just read these phrases. You need to mimic them, shadow them.
Yes. Treat it like a script for a play. Actors rehearse their lines over and over again to make them sound natural and spontaneous. A language learner is, in a way, an actor stepping onto a new stage.
So you need to rehearse?
You need to rehearse your apology lines and your fixing lines so that when the curtain goes up, when you actually make a mistake in the real world, you can perform the art effortlessly without even thinking.
And that brings us right back to that simple overlay. Say sorry. It's the stage direction. It's the cue, action.
Exactly.
This has been a really, really rich unpacking of just a few lines of text from our source, but I feel like we've uncovered an entire philosophy of learning here.
We really have. It's a fundamental shift from language as math to language as art.
And a shift from passive apologizing to active fixing.
And from textbook robotic to natural human connection.
It's a complete mindset shift for the learner. For you.
It is, and it's one that will make you not just a better English speaker, but a better and more effective communicator in general, in any language.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the art of the sincere apology, let's summarize the key takeaways. What are the 3 essential things our listeners need to walk away with today?
Okay. Takeaway number 1, apologizing is an art, not a science. So your focus should be on sincerity, not just on perfect grammar. The goal is always connection, not perfection. Don't let the fear of making a small grammar mistake stop you from making a huge human connection.
That's a great one. Takeaway number 2.
Use natural phrases.
Yeah.
The right way is the natural way. You have to avoid that textbook or robot voice. Learn the short, simple phrases that native speakers actually use, because that's what reduces the distance between you and them. Remember, my bad is often so much better than a 3-sentence formal explanation.
Simple is better. And number 3.
Don't just apologize. Handle the mistake. The job isn't done when you say sorry. The job is only done when you use your natural phrases to propose a solution. I'll fix it. I'll handle it. That action, or the offer of action, is what ultimately proves your sincerity.
A fantastic summary. Acknowledge, use natural words, and then offer a fix.
And I do have one final thought, if that's okay.
Go for it.
We talked a lot about that overlay. Say sorry. It's so simple. But I want to challenge our listeners and you. When you hear that command pop up in your head, say sorry. Don't just treat it as a task to be checked off a list. Don't just say the word and then run away. Treat it as an opening.
An opening. An opening for what?
An opening to a conversation about how to make things better. It's an opening to show your true character. It's an opening to demonstrate your competence by handling the situation with grace and confidence.
That is a beautiful perspective. The apology isn't the end of the story.
It's the beginning. So you should ask yourself, are you apologizing just to be correct? Or are you apologizing to truly connect? The right way isn't about finding the perfect sentence structure. It's about finding the perfect resolution for both of you.
I love that. The apology isn't the end of the mistake. It is the beginning of the solution.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. This has been a really enlightening deep dive. I feel like I'm going to be a lot more mindful and deliberate about how I say sorry from now on.
Me too. Absolutely. Me too.
And to our listeners, keep learning, keep making those mistakes because they're inevitable, and most importantly, keep handling them the right way. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
Bye, everyone.